Hi, I didn't see you there. It's Wednesday night. It's time for It's time for Mythic Conversations. We're here. We're having fun. I think we got a few things to talk about tonight. Anything interesting happened this week? Okay, so we have Mythic Legions Rising Suns in hand. We are going to look at those tonight. I'm almost done opening the whole wave. Jacob's on the other side over here. He's opening up the last few. We'll get to this wave. Every one I open is better than the one before. Really, really happy with this. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get into all of that, obviously, we've got to get through some of the news. So my last 2 days have been pretty much popular, totally dominated by the Legendary Warrior, our 2026 touring figure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on with this figure tonight. Full disclosure, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Okay, this was a crappy situation. It's been a crappy couple days, but I'm going to tell you basically what we're doing. So you have the information, but if you're looking for me to throw people under the bus and talk drama, I'm really not going to do that. The bottom line is we revealed our 2026 touring figure, the Legendary Warrior, on Monday. This figure was meant to be obviously an archetypal type female barbarian warrior. Originally, it came with 5 different heads, including 2 heads that had orange here. The reality was those heads caused a concern for somebody, and we were asked to remove them. I've seen a lot of people in the comment sections talking about what we should or shouldn't have done. The reality is that we're supposed to start selling these at ZoloCon in a couple weeks, and standing on what we should have done or fighting this, it would have definitely meant that they wouldn't be available. So we decided to, take the high road and respect the request, and we removed those 2 orange haired heads. Now, what you see here, this is the build you're going to get. This is the full loadout. So you can see, even without those 2 heads, this is a fully loaded figure. You get the 2 heads that are included here with the black here and the blonde here. You get the helmet. You get the bracelets, axe, sword, hammer, removable shoulder, 2 sets of removable shoulder pauldrons, 2 sets of hands. Absolutely loaded with this figure. Now, a number of people have asked, somewhat jokingly, are you going to lower the price on this figure because you have removed those 2 heads? Guess what? Yeah, we are. We're going to lower the price. So this was going to be a $50 figure at the shows this year, which is the exact price that we sold the Legendary Barbarian for last year. But we're going to lower the price to $40. We pulled those 2 heads out, so we're going to do that. We're going to do that for the Legionnaires that come out and see us at shows. This Legendary Warrior figure with all of that loadout will be $40 at all of our shows. Now, one thing I will address is I saw a number of people saying like, oh, can't you just use that war paint face with a different color here? Let me be very clear. These are already produced. These are not at the factory. This is not a pre-order. So we can't say, you know what, let's just repaint that war paint face with a different color here. They already exist. And yes, you can probably make the leap here that when we say we're removing those heads, I literally mean that our team is removing them from the packages. We are going to go in and remove these heads from the boxes so we can bring these to shows and have them available. A number of people I've seen suggested, why don't you bring those heads to the shows and give them away for free? We're not going to do that. While that might be an easy fix, that's not in the spirit of what we agreed to. So we're not going to do that. But we are going to find a way to get that head to you. That head that has that war paint, everybody who wants that head, it won't be on the Legendary Warrior, but we have a plan, and we hope to announce it very soon, about how we're going to repurpose that head for a totally different presentation. So people that want that head in their fodder bins will have a way to get it. With that, that's really all I'm going to say. That's what you need to know. You need to know that this figure still kicks a ton of ass, that it is going to be $40, not $50 at our shows this year, and that at some point, everybody who wants access to that war paint head is going to have access to that war paint head. Cool? Can we move on? Awesome. Next thing, Mythic Legions, the role-playing game. This has literally been dominating my life the last week plus as we get ready for the launch of our Kickstarter. So we released the schedule event on Monday. The schedule is on next Monday, which is a couple days from today. Eric and I at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be doing a live stream to talk about this game and reveal everything else. Because 2 days later on that Wednesday is when we actually kick off the Kickstarter. We want everyone fully informed before we start that Kickstarter, okay? We don't want you to go in and not know what the pledge tiers are and not know what the items are. We want you to go in understanding what's available so you can have a plan of attack. So Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be talking through all of the stuff, showing all the stuff. And then Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time is when the campaign's going to start. And it's going to run until Saturday, April 4th. We'll talk a lot about this Kickstarter as we get to next week. One thing I'll point out right here for people that are not, I didn't say no surprises. Someone just said no surprises. No surprises from the initial tiers of stuff. We got some stretch goals, okay? There are some stretch goals in the campaign. Those are some surprises. But I digress. If you've never used Kickstarter, it's a platform where creators are able to put up things they want to do, whether it's a role-playing game they want to create, a toy line they want to launch, an album they want to record, whatever it may be. Those are all things that people go on Kickstarter for. At the end of the day, it's a store. It's an online store. That's really, really what it is. So we want to explain that to you, and we're going to show you all of that. But one of the great things about Kickstarter is you are not billed until the end of the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter ending on Saturday, April 4th, and I should point out, our amazing fan community has already said they're going to be doing a no, that is not the $500,000 stretch goal. That's fun. Our amazing community is going to be doing another 24-hour kind of marathon style live stream the way that they did for the Bayathere campaign last year. So super excited for that. But you're not charged until the end of the campaign. And we're also enabling something called pledge over time, which allows you to pay across a couple months. So my understanding is the way it works, and I do believe this does work outside of the US as well. There are a bunch of different countries that this does apply to. You'll be able, say that your pledge is $1,000. I believe that you pay like a third of it at the end of the campaign, a third a month later, a third a month after that. So it definitely lets you spread it out. Again, we'll talk a lot more about this on Monday in terms of the pledge goals. The last thing I'll say about the campaign, and we'll look at some reveals right now, is the quicker we get this thing funded, the better. So all of our fans that typically will wait till the end of a pre-order to place an order, understandably so, because there's a financial reason to do that. You don't want to get billed up front the way that we do with our normal ordering system. With Kickstarter, it behooves us to get those pledges early because, again, you don't get charged till the end. Because the whole reason we're using Kickstarter, it is a marketing platform. So the more Kickstarter gets, the more money we make, the more money Kickstarter gets from us. So they want us to make money. If they see a lot of people backing this, if they see people backing it quickly, if they see this thing get funded in an hour, they're going to take notice. And what they do is they throw marketing dollars behind it. They throw their marketing muscle. They push it out to their people. They put it on the homepage. They do all this cool stuff that at the end of the day is going to mean more eyeballs on the game. And that's the whole goal of why we're using Kickstarter. So join us on Monday. Eric and I will talk through all of this. But if you are planning on backing, and yeah, you can back for just figures. If you're not interested in the game, you can absolutely do that. Back early so we can really push this thing up nice and high very, very quickly. Last Thursday, I was on Legions Ladies Live. Absolutely go check that show out if you missed it. And we revealed this character right here, the third of the player characters, the wizard. So this wizard character, like the cleric and the rogue that we revealed previously, these base player figures are going to be I keep saying $29.99. We've been saying that for a while. It's actually going to be $30. We discovered after we started building the Kickstarter page, they don't do cents. Everything has to be round dollars. So we just had to round that $29.99 up to $30. So the figures will actually be $30. The character packs will be $15. But for that $30 price point, this is the figure that you're going to get. Again, all of these figures, to hit these lower price points, we stripped them down. So we didn't really compromise on the paints very much. Like they're fully painted figures. You can see like the laces on her tunic. All of that stuff is fully realized. But what we did do is she doesn't come with soft goods. She doesn't come with extra heads. She doesn't come with a whole, armory worth of weapons. That's really how we were able to streamline these to get it in at that $30 price point. So that is the wizard. And then today, we revealed this. We revealed the character pack that, while you can use these parts with lots of different figures. Thank you very much, Jacob. He has just opened up all of my toys for me over here. I've got a bear right here. Back to this. I'm sorry. I'm very distracted right now. There's so much in front of me right now that I'm really, really kind of geeking out here. Anyway, yes, a bear. The character packs, they're Legions compatible pieces. You can use these pieces with a lot of different Legions figures, but clearly we designed them to go with specific Legions figures, right? So this particular one was created to pair with the Elf Rogue. And you can see this is the character pack. So for $15, you get that fully wired soft goods cloak. It's a brand new Jagualian head. So you can look, that snarling Jagualian face, that is a brand new sculpture that we have for this. You get that tail, you get the quiver, and you get that super cool bow. Got to point out here my good friend Patrick Boyle. Patrick Boyle is a longtime Legions fan and customizer, also a huge fan of Mythic Legions, the role-playing game. He helped us out at Legions Con as one of our game masters. He runs the Nat 20 fan group on Facebook that is dedicated to Mythic Legions, the role-playing game. For years, Patrick has been repainting our weapons with a wood grain style look. He sells them at Legions Con or gives them away a lot of times. Wonderful individual member of this community. But when we were working on this, the idea of painting our bow, the way Patrick has painted our bows to make it look more like wood, that became very appealing. So we've got the Patrick Boyle bow that is part of this particular add-on set, our character pack. And again, while the Ranger parts are meant to go with the Jaguali, and I say meant to go, you can do whatever you want. So this shows here using those Ranger parts with that elf head to create more of an Elven Ranger, and then putting those Jagualian parts just on the Rogue build to create the Cat Burglar. So a lot of flexibility here. Again, $30, it's going to be for those base player figures, $15 for those character packs. We showed this the other day as well. So much of what we've been showing is based on figures, right? And the figures have a huge role to play in Mythic Legions, the role-playing game. But this is a game. Like there's a whole new RPG that we are, creating and promoting as part of this campaign. So this is a reveal that we shared that was much more game focused. This is a page, it's still in development, but this is a page from the beginner rulebook. So the beginner box that we teased last week is one of the things that's going to be in it is going to be a rule book. It's basically a pared down set of the rules from like the main rule book. So this is a layout, and it gives you a sense of how these books are going to look. This uses existing Legions art that was created by Nate Barch and Tom Tolman. The books will be a mix of existing art and photography, brand new art and photography, including, some art that we've commissioned some amazing artists for, and some photography that we've actually tapped our fan community to provide for the books. So there's a lot of love going into this. Speaking a lot of love, these page layouts are actually being done by a well-known member of our community, Emil Wickman. So I've been friends with Emil for many, many years. Emil joined Team Wolf King in the very earliest days of Wolf King Customs when it was just Len and myself. So to have Emil now involved in this project and working on all these page layouts is absolutely amazing. So much love to Emil. We are so happy that he is working on these pages with us. Reminder, the pre-order for Archon the Cruel and Oksana the Inquisitor ends this Sunday. Okay, so while these will be available at retailers after the fact, if you want to pay the lowest price possible, $75 for Archon versus $100, and $50 for Oksana versus $60, you're going to want to get to storehorseman.com. $10 flat rate shipping also applies for U.S. buyers. If you aren't going to get it from us, definitely pre-order these from your local retailer. One of the things that we're seeing with waves, including the Rising Suns wave, is people that don't get a pre-order in early that are like, I'll just wait until they ship. They're missing out. This Rising Suns wave, there's a number of pieces of these that are already sold out at retailers. They haven't even hit street date yet, and they're already sold out. And if you look at a lot of the other waves, Ashes of Agbendor, Hara of Ainsamo, Ox Crew 2, a lot of these are sold out at a lot of these places after the fact. So I always just caution people. I'm not just saying it because I want you to go and buy more stuff. I mean, yes, I'm in marketing and sales. I want you to buy more stuff. It is literally my job. But as a fan, I'm also telling you, get a pre-order in. Whether you do it direct and pay up front or get it from a retailer, pay a little more but pay later, you want to get that pre-order counted because we are still making these to order. And even though we are producing more figures than ever before, our fan community is larger than it's ever been. So if you wait until the end, you're in that pool of other fans who waited as well, who are scrambling for whatever extras retailers ordered. So don't be that. You don't want to be part of that scramble. You definitely don't want on Monday to say, oh, darn, I messed up the time. I thought it was 11 p.m. Pacific time. Nope, it's 11 p.m. Eastern time this Sunday, Archon and Oksana. All-ins. So the all-ins for the Rising Suns wave arrived at the warehouse. I kid you not. We had 2 containers full of all-ins. If you've ever seen a container, how big it is, the fact that we had 2 containers that were almost all-ins is insane. Absolutely insane that it took 2 containers to get us these. Thank you to our community for that amazing support. And thank you to Cookie and his amazing warehouse team for kicking so much ass. They got a container in yesterday, then a container in this morning. As of this broadcast, every all-in from the Rising Suns wave is shipped. Okay? I'm going to take this down for a second so you can see my face, see how serious I am. Every single all-in has shipped. That is absolutely insane. That's why we pre-pack all-ins at the factory, so when they come in, we just slap labels on them and get them right back out. If you ordered an all-in, it is on the way. You will have it soon. The rest of the stuff, all of the singles, we've been shipping singles to people for the last few weeks. So that's going to continue. The one container that we have that's coming that hasn't arrived yet is the container with the deluxe figures. It's the container quite literally full of bears. That is scheduled to arrive in the next few days. Okay, in the next few days, we should be getting the final containers. I would suggest that by next week, the team will be full steam ahead shipping out the rest of the orders. Our expectation, don't email us and say, where's my order? Our expectation is it's going to take us at least a few more weeks to get through the rest of the orders. Our goal is to be done by mid-March so we can have retailer street date. That is what we are shooting for. So as we get closer and we know more, we don't want to announce a street date and make all these plans until we really know. But things are looking good. We're in really good shape. And like I said, those all-ins are on the way. That alone is just an amazing, amazing place to be. With that, let's look at some figures. What do you say, right? So I've literally got the whole wave in front of me. Now, I will tell you, I have not spent a lot of time with these figures. I opened them very, very quickly while I was in the lead up to this. I mentioned that Jacob was opening. Jacob opened Bodvar, Umbra, Regarion, and Scapular because I was saving Scapular for last because Scapular is the coolest figure in the entire line. I said wave, which is true because he's the coolest figure in the line. That's just a fact. But I'm looking at all of these, and I said earlier that as I was opening them, everyone I opened became my new favorite. If you got the Necronominus wave about this time last year, right? It was last year that we were shipping Necro. Necro felt like a huge leap forward for the Mythic Legions line. There was so much newness in it, right? And this has been an interesting line because, obviously for the first few years, they were reusing a lot of the same pieces. And I've said before, but this line got so popular so much faster than expected that they had to catch up. And it wasn't until like the Aether wave and the Alithia wave that we really started seeing those new parts. The Poxus wave introduced the robed wizards and introduced brutes, but the Necro wave really felt like a major leap forward because we got an update on the knights. We got an update on the skeletons, 2 character types that had been absolutely in this line since the very, very beginning. This feels like a similar leap forward. It has that same like sense of newness that Necro had, but totally different because there's no knights in this wave. There's no skeletons there is one skeleton. There's the skeleton. The skeleton is in this wave. But you get my meaning. It's a very different wave, like thematically, than Necronominus is. So absolutely cool to have all of these here. The first one that I opened was actually Nieve. So I opened Nieve earlier today. Block that light. I mean, absolutely gorgeous figure. The 1.0, and again, I should actually mention this. I'm not doing popping and swapping. I'm not going to show all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to talk you through kind of my impressions of these figures. The 1.0 females are something that people have wanted for a while. You know, we got it with Vorga, we got it with Kernray and the Cosmic line, but Nieve and the female dwarf are the first 1.0 figures that we've gotten in the Mythic Legions line, and it does not disappoint. Absolutely gorgeous figure, gorgeous sculpture. You know, she was one of the most popular figures in the wave. I can tell you, and that's something we're going to talk about. You know, Bodvar, Atlas, Scapular, and Nieve were the four most popular, because that's one of the things as a collector. If you haven't bought this wave already, there's two things to be aware of. The figures that were super popular during the pre-order are going to continue to be super popular. If you're coming new into this line, those are very likely the same characters you're going to gravitate towards. The same characters that everyone gravitated towards during the pre-order are probably going to continue to be super popular. So Atlas and Scapular are major, major characters. Bodvar is a full-size articulated bear, and Nieve is just cool as hell. So you've got that going on, right? So that's one thing to be mindful of. The other thing is literally the opposite end of the spectrum. There are a couple figures in this wave that were, quite frankly, underordered. We still made a lot of them, but relative to the other figures in the line, we didn't order as many. They weren't as many made because not as many people ordered. They didn't order them in the same quantities. Those are the ones that are typically going to sell out first, because the way it works, if you think about this, is if a figure is towards the lower end of the popularity, right? No, Rising Suns will not be at Zolocon. I can 100% guarantee you, retailer street date has to pass for us to have these on the table. It's not all ins, it's retailer street date. For the figures that were underordered, right? What ends up happening is fewer people ordered them, which means retailers ordered less. Retailers and Four Horsemen Studios, we base the amount of extras that we order on how many were ordered up front. We don't just do a flat percentage, but clearly if something isn't as popular, we're like, well, okay, let's not go crazy and order a ton of those thinking that it's going to be a sleeper hit, because you never know it's going to be a sleeper hit, right? So there are fewer made, but because fewer people ordered them, more people don't have them and more people may want them. So there's a smaller pool of extras that everyone is going after. And it's why you see those sleepers be really hard to find. So we'll talk about that, but she was ordered in pretty good numbers, rightfully so. Absolutely gorgeous. You know, one of the nice things about this wave, this is a whole new set of weapons. So Eric really went crazy sculpting new weapons for this wave. For those longtime Legionnaires who, you know, are looking to update figures with some new weapons, and just have new weapons on these figures, this wave is definitely taking care of you. You know, new shields, new axes, new swords, new trinkets. You've got the whole 9 yards. So absolutely love Nieve. Now, she does also come with an alternate helmet. It's meant to this. Her story talks about the Great Wolf. This kind of has a wolf-like look to it. She does also have some pauldrons. I kind of prefer her without the pauldrons. I think that look looks better on her. So that's the way that I'm going to display her. Yeah, the shield, there are a couple wooden shields. This one has a lot of little holes in it. All of these arrows are removable. You can just pop them right in. So I like that a lot, but I love that look with all those shields and all those arrows in there. Who do you want to see next? What are you thinking? Who do you want to see? Who do you want to see? Hit me up. Hit me up in the chat. First one I see is what I'm going to look at. What am I going to look at? What am I going to look at? Dwarves. Okay, Cloud hits me with dwarves. So the Dwarf 2-pack, ironically, was the second one I opened. So we're kind of following suit there. Very, very cool. Another much-needed update. You know, I will absolutely say to the Dwarf fans in the back of the room that your dwarves were completely not given the same level of attention as other characters, the knights, the skeletons. And it was because we knew we were going to do it in this wave. So, like, there's a lot of dwarf fans. You know, Joe Vassapolo is ringing that dwarven bell at the studio every single day. So we knew we had to redo these. It was just kind of like, we got to get to the Rising Suns wave. So we get that here. And we get absolutely so many new parts with these figures. You know, we got the upper legs are like the fabric pants. We've got these new lower legs. There's a couple different new kinds of feet. These are these big armored, you know, feet here, whereas the female dwarf has leather ones. We got a couple new skirts, lots of new belts, and then a few new heads. So in addition to this unhelmeted head, we get the new dwarf helmeted head. Of course, the female dwarf, she comes with that female dwarf head as well. Additionally, I posted, it was actually the cover of tonight's show, and I posted it on the Cabal. The all-ins come with this dwarf head as well. So if you don't know about this dwarf head, there was a Legions fan back around 2020, because during COVID, who passed away from COVID, actually. His name was Justin Johnson, huge Dwarf fan, huge Mythic Legions fans in the early days of the line. I didn't know Justin well. I would be lying if I said that he was a close friend. He was not, but he was someone I knew during a time when our community was much smaller than it was today. And I love where we are today. I wouldn't trade anything for it, but there was something special about those days. Anyone who's in the chat who was around at that time knows exactly what I mean. There was just, the community was smaller and it was exciting. There was an exciting time, a different kind of excitement than we have today. Again, I wouldn't change today for the world. But Justin was a well-known member of the community then for dwarves, and he unfortunately passed away. Fortunately lost his life to COVID. So the studio participated in a fundraiser for Justin's family. The community pulled together and did an amazing fundraiser. Eric sculpted this head. We did basically a custom figure that we painted that was raffled off, and it eventually landed in Justin's family's hands. The person that won it gifted it to Justin's widow. We never knew what to do with the head, because we had sculpted it, but we didn't really know what to do with it. So the decision was made to give it away as a gift, to put it in with all-ins as a free pack-in to kind of honor Justin's memory and that kind of sense of giving and camaraderie that we had in, I want to say that we had in the earliest days of the community, but it's still very, very well represented in the community today. So this is in the pack. And again, I will point out, by the way, this head, it does come with a net post. So there's a couple additional net posts, unhinged net posts that are in the Dwarf 2-pack, but the bonus head actually comes with a hinged neck as well. Now, when Retailer Street Date happens, there is also a second version of that head. So this is the version of the head. The one with the dark brown was only available if you bought a direct all-in. The blonde one was only available from our retailers. So these absolutely put it right on that dwarf body, and you've got yet another awesome dwarf head. These are great. I having so much fun. Another thing, there's a lot of in this wave that I'm loving, but be careful. Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. When you open your all in, this head is bagged in the package. So it's in a baggie in the package. The factory put it in there. Be aware of that. Don't pull all the boxes out and throw away your packaging, because you'll throw away your dwarf head. But what I was going to say was, when you open up a bunch of these figures, a lot of these new like scabbards, they're held on by like little metal rings. Just be careful that you don't rip those out, because you could rip the rings, and you'll be able to repair it as long as you don't, rip the plastic ring that holds it there. The metal ring is much easier to fix. So just be careful. Take your time when you are doing this. Oh, love these figures. I haven't spent much time with the female one yet. Actually, this set also comes with a wired soft goods cloak, so that's available as well. So if you want to, I'll put it on the female dwarf. It's, I mean, so much. And the set is loaded. You get the torch, you get a couple different axes. You can see that this guy I've got with the hammer, the shield, he's got the dwarven sword and the scabbard. So much going on in that set. It's absolutely loaded. That is a set you're going to want an extra of. Absolutely. Like Nieve, Nieve out of the box, I mean, the extra head is cool, but unless you're going to use it for pop and swaps and really like take that figure apart, Nieve feels like out of the box. She is fully realized. The dwarf set is a builder set. Like, it's the kind of thing you want at least one extra of, so you can mix and match these parts and use them. And one of the nice things, and we did this intentionally, the reason that the dwarf male and dwarf female are both 1.0 builds is so these parts are fully interchangeable. That skirt that comes on, or the like waist armor that comes on the female, there's nothing about it that's female. You can use any of these pieces across the different builds to create a lot of different looks. Absolutely love it. Let's talk about a sleeper, okay? The dwarves were also ordered in pretty good numbers, but a figure that was ordered towards the lower end was this character here, Dpitar. So this is an absolutely just bizarre creature design, pure Eric Treadaway creativity right here. This is an assassin from Sons of the Red Star. Kind of got a little bit of a rivalry going on with Grisha the Slitherer. Very kind of scorpion-like looking character. It's got this tail and back. Now that just pops right out, by the way. So if you're not feeling this whole back piece tail thing, like, you absolutely can pop that off. It does have the very distinctive hands and feet. Again, you could replace those. If you replace those hands and feet with leather gloves and leather feet, you absolutely could, make this less of a bug-like character. But I love the way that it looks with that back piece and with these extra arms. That profile is just crazy. Now, one thing that is crazy about this as well, when we wrote the bio for this character, we wanted to create both a named character and a builder in one. So while this character's name is Dpitar, he is, as we call, the favorite son of a nest of Scorian assassins. So Scorian is the kind of race. Excuse me for a minute. Tango, stop. I have my Mezco display over there, right? I don't know why, but Tango hates the vampires. Like, Tango is literally Tango Vampire Hunter. That is what we're going to call him. Because every morning I come down and all of the vampire figures, only they're on the last shelf, yes. But I have a lot of other shelves with last shelves. He doesn't mess with any of the other toys, just the Mezco vampires. Knocks them over every single day. He was just standing there looking at me. But I digress. Scorian is the kind of race that this character is. So what we wanted to do was create a set that would allow you to have a lot of different looks. So what you can see here is this piece on the front that pops right off. So what you can do is you've got two heads and two different front pieces. So if you pop this front piece off and you put this one on instead, you get a very different look. Same thing if you put the front piece on this one. So, I mean, right out of the gate, you've got 4 distinct looks with just these two heads in this one piece here. You can absolutely mix and match to get the different looks that you want. I'm trying something real quick. Trying to see if I can put it upside down. I mean, you kind of can. It looks a little wacky. But I mean, hey, customizers, right? You can do whatever you want with these things. So lots of different possibilities here. This is one, this particular one. I like this. So by the way, you know, what does Deese's actual look like? I don't know. I'm going to use this one as Deese with the face there. To me, that's the Dpitar look. So that's what I'm going to write into the lore as being the official Deese, whereas this one will be more of the kind of builder, the other Scorians. But this is one that lots of fun and lots of new 2.0 parts here. We're getting the fabric arms and legs. We're getting the leather boots. We're getting a new waist piece here, new chest piece, new shoulder pads. I mean, this is like head to toe new pieces on this figure. This is one that I think a lot of people who missed him are going to be hunting him down. Another one that was ordered on the lower side that I think is going to be very desirable is Manisha Cinderhorn, another 2.0 figure that was in this wave. So Manisha is one of the Shadow Elves, a very popular subrace that we haven't seen for a little while. Revisiting the Shadow Elves, you know, it was cool to be able to rope her, like write her into the other Shadow Elves in our story. Malachi Cinderhorn is the king of the Shadow Elves. So this was meant to be his daughter. And she actually comes with 2 additional heads. So she comes with a repaint of the Zerian Spire head and a repaint of the Maria Golden Branch head. And the idea with these, excuse me, it says that in her bio that Manisha is the youngest daughter of Malachi Cinderhorn. So the idea was that these could be other daughters. So if you get multiples of these, you could really make a trio of the Cinderhorn kind of sisters. Again, super fun figure. Now, while Deese had the leather boots and gloves, but with the bug parts, this has actual leather gloves and leather feet. She's got the armored legs, but if you took Deese's upper legs and knees, they're completely compatible with these. You could mix and match all of those parts. I think between Deese and Manisha, there's going to be some cool pop and swap options there as well. Super cool figure. And again, this cape, really, really nice wires in this cape. Lots of posability here. You're going to be able to get some very, very dynamic looks out of these particular figures. She comes with a bunch of different hands. She comes with 4 or 5 different sets of hands and this cool weapon. Like this is a new weapon that went a little under the radar. This kind of like crisp bladed spear. Really, really like that. That's just a cool looking weapon. Already have other plans for that for sure. Okay. Who do I want to show next? We just showed a couple bad guys, so let's go back to the good guys. Let's go to Broddr of Bjornar. It's no secret that this wave, this company, this community means a lot to me personally. The experience of presenting Broddr and Scapular or Emir Caspar to Brad and Mike from the Legion's lair, that was a lot of fun. This character's name is Broddr. For those that don't know, Broddr basically translates to Brad. So this was done kind of as a fun tribute to Brad, but it's just a darn cool looking Viking figure. Like, cool new spare. I mean, these shields are so great. New axe. Just, we've also got the fur-lined boots, just like Nieve has. So we've seen the leather cuffed boots already a number of times. Legendary Barbarian has it. A number of figures from the Armory experience last year had it. But we're now getting these fur-lined boots that have kind of the leather straps. So really like to see that. Yeah, I mean, same thing. This figure, so this figure's got the shoulder pauldrons, and these are removable, by the way. So these little pieces in front, all of that stuff is modular and pops out. So I guarantee that the customizers are going to be making new little pop-in pieces for those. He also comes with a second head that is a little more of kind of like a stereotypical fantasy Viking, not really based in a lot of reality. I know that when Eric worked on these particular figures, he consulted with Diego, because Diego is our resident like Viking expert. If you remember, if you were at the G-Con 4 Rising Suns, probably the best start to a G-Con we've had, where it started and Diego, dressed in his full Viking regalia, like blew his war horn and came out literally dressed. Diego does LARPing, for those that don't know, and he came out dressed like a full Viking, and he led the audience in a Viking chant. It was great, and we presented the first figure of the wave, which I think actually was Broddr. We presented that while Diego was up at the table with us wearing his full Viking stuff. So, this is more of a actual Viking style helmet, while this one is the very fantasy kind of look. He does also have the fur kind of collar thing that you can do. I haven't used this yet. I haven't played around with this. It's got these little loops. So I believe that what you're probably supposed to do is probably take off that little front piece, maybe loop this around. So like if you loop that around the little piece there and then put that peg back in, I put it in backwards. It holds it there. So that's probably how you're going to want to attach those. But I haven't put the pauldrons on yet. I haven't played with the fur, kind of because I like that look, right? Like that look where he's just kind of standing there like, reminds me of Brad. I'm Brad. I know he doesn't talk like that. He talks like Arnold, but I can't do an Arnold voice. So really digging that guy. Super cool. What are we thinking so far? Man, this wave is blowing me away. Blowing me away. If you feel I'm racing through the wave, I totally am, because I want to get the Scapular. And I could just do Scapular now, but that's like eating dessert before dinner, which I'm an adult. I could totally do that, but I'm not going to. Another figure that was a bit of a sleeper in the wave that in hand is, I'm going to say, better than the sum of its parts, because this is the figure in the wave that uses the fewest new parts. And I think that's one of the reasons why it probably didn't hit some of the way the other ones did. Of course, I'm talking about Yoshani Kari. So this ghost of a demon type character, this is one of Scapular's henchmen. From a story standpoint, I love this guy because the idea is that, Scapular is the leader of this mercenary group, and he gets people. I mean, he recruits people by offering them, riches or power or influence or whatever. What do you promise the ghost of a demon to get that creature on your side? Really makes you wonder, but whatever it takes, Scapular did it, and he got this kind of bodyguard style henchman on his side. So if you've got the Monkey King figure, this is going to be fairly familiar. It's got a lot of Monkey King parts. One thing that's cool is, while Monkey King is so richly painted, this figure is very much an exercise in restraint. Every nook and cranny, every detail does not have extra paint on it. Not to say that it's not like painted, that it's like a Legion builder. It's just there's more of a flat tone through it, more of a calm tone through it, that I think translates really, really well. And in some ways actually brings out some of the sculptural details even better. Now, he does have these new swords. We did get one of these with Dpitar as well, but here they're actually attached by those metal rings. So we've got two of these swords, one in each scabbard. And then he's got this new weapon here, which I can't remember the name. I forgot the name of this particular weapon, but sculpted absolutely gorgeously. And then he's got a second head as well. So I actually really dig the second head. I like this head better, but I'm going to use this head on the character. I feel like this head works better. The armored head looks better on the actual figure. I've got other plans for this particular head. And I love one thing that's really cool is, if you see, tough to see, if you see those horns, they're a translucent purple. What they were meant to be was almost like this character had horns and they were cut off, and those are like the remnants of the horns. The horns do not come off. They are part of the sculpture. They don't feel glued in. They feel like completely separate. I mean, completely like integrated pieces. Whoops. Completely integrated pieces there. But I really dig that. So those are supposed to be kind of like the ghostly remnants of his horns. I'll put that head on just so you can see what it looks like. So you can get a sense of which style you would like to display. So that's what we get when we put it on. Unhelmeted Yoshani head onto Vernalis. Dorklear, I said I wasn't doing pops tonight, but for you, my friend, I will do that. Give me 1 second, everybody. I'm just going to run right over there and get a Vernalis Arden scale figure. I can still talk while I'm walking because I'm just on the other side of the room. So this is a figure that we looked at last week. This is seeming to be an early, I should actually mention, today was retailer street date for this particular wave. This figure, Vernalis, seems to be one that people are definitely gravitating towards early. Color-wise, I mean, it's close. Color-wise, it looks a little off in front because of that front color, but on the back, it's a lot closer. But because he's got that lighter thing in front, it's definitely a weird look. It actually looks maybe a little small on this particular thing because this is a very big body with a very thick neck. So depends what you're going for. It might work if depending what you're trying to accomplish is. But with that thick neck on the Quaddle figure, might work for some, might not for others. So that's Yoshani. He also comes with a bunch of different hands as well. Next, so I haven't even looked at this yet. This is one of the ones that Jacob opened. Let's look at the big guy. Let's look at Regarion. So Regarion comes with a new, so this, we've seen the top before. So the top we saw in the Ogre Scale accessory pack, but the whole bottom part here, this is a brand new handle. It's not the handle we've gotten in the past. So that's a new part there. On his belt, he's got these two hanging pieces. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say he's got two hanging so-and-so's from his belt. Those two hanging pieces, they plug in to the back of the skulls. No, Alan, these will not be at ZoloCon because retailer street date is not passed. Now, to do these, I am going to have to heat these. And that is a public service message, kids. It is cold outside. That means that when you get these figures in, don't just crack the box open and start posing. That's a way to break your figures. Make sure that they are heated up to room temperature if you're going to leave them in for a few hours, or if you ever have any resistance, literally get yourself a hairdryer. Ooh, my hand's getting hot. And then just like that, it makes it so much easier to pop them in place because all you're doing is just softening that plastic enough to eliminate any resistance. It only takes about that long. And then it's heated up the plastic just enough that it will make it so much easier. So you've got those skulls on his belt now. Very, very cool figure. So we've seen these shoulder pauldrons before, but it's a new configuration in back. So let me show you what this looks like. So the way that we had to make this work is this is a brand new chest harness that he's got that the actual plugs, instead of being in the back of the figure, they're actually in the harness. Provides a little bit more stability there. Other newness on this figure, we've got, even though we've seen these lower legs before, these are brand new knee pads. So it really transforms the look of those legs. Probably the coolest new part about this is the waist. So we've had the same ogre waist for way too long now. We're super excited to see that we're getting some different parts in ogre scale. So we've got that there. Yeah, Kevin, I am having a lot of fun tonight. I needed this, everybody. I really, really did. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. After the challenges of the last 48 hours, being here with all of you tonight, playing with some toys, has been amazing. And that's what it's all about, right? Sometimes we forget that we make toys. These are supposed to be fun. I'm having fun tonight. Hope you are too. I'm going to heat the figure's hand to get this honking weapon inside of there. I like that comment saying that's a sweet popping sound on those pauldrons. It is. And it makes me want to do it again. Yeah. She's got that new weapon in there. And I'll probably go two-handed with this weapon. But this is a cool figure. I mean, this is a figure that probably my least anticipated of this wave, to be honest. Nothing against the figure. You've got to have a least anticipated, right? This is probably the one that out of everything I was looking forward to the least. I'm not a huge fan of ogres. So, that coupled with just how good everything else is. But in hand, this thing exceeds expectations. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a very, very cool figure. The one thing I'm trying to figure out here is these horns. So they don't seem, yeah, they are. So the horns are separate pieces. They're really, oh, there we go. So yeah, you can position those horns a little bit different. And I would wager that because they are ogre pieces, they're probably compatible with all the other ogre pieces as well. I don't have one real handy to go grab. But this guy, super cool. Love the colors on him. I saw someone earlier say, I remember when this was teased. Yeah, Nate Barch painted this on the ogre boxes for the Siege of Bjornar wave. So that is, my goodness, years and years ago. I can remember when I'll tell you a little story. When I was just a fan of the studio and I went to my first intern for a day as a fan, the ogres weren't out yet, but they showed us like samples of the ogre heads. So even though Kurzog, the ogre builder, and Balthar the Tower were introduced in that first wave, that day at the studio, I also saw the head for Desabalus, I saw the head for Azahazar, and I saw the head for this one. So literally, when you think about it, that I was at the studio for my intern for a day before Advent of Decay even shipped. Like Advent of Decay wasn't even in hand yet, and we saw this. So that's how long ago this head was sculpted and worked on. It was, yeah, almost 8 years ago, G is saying. Long time. Okay, let's get into the heavy hitters here. I mean, they're all heavy hitters, right? But let's get into the four mains. And by that, of course, I mean Atlas, Scapular, in both of their mounts. So Atlas the Conqueror and Scapular the Cryptbreaker. Two very important characters to the story, two characters that have been around since the first wave of Mythic Legions. So much of Mythic Legions, the story is the Legions of Light versus the Legions of Dark, right? It's all about the good guys versus the bad guys. I've always found the characters that exist somewhere between those two rigid extremes to be the most interesting. So the splinter factions, as we call them, for the House of the Rising Suns, House of the Noble Bear, and Sons of the Red Star. See what I did there? Like, you see how I got there, right? It's House, Sons, the Noble Bear, and the Red Stars. Those two have always been the most interesting to me. And their leaders are Atlas the Conqueror and Scapular the Cryptbreaker. So this is a total update on a very important figure and a very important character and a very popular figure from that first wave. Absolutely stunning. I mean, everything about this figure is just phenomenal. Ugh. And I mean, it's a brand new sculpture. That's not the old Atlas head reused. That's a brand new sculpted head, all new sculpted parts here. I have seen some people asking like, oh, if I get two of these, can I make it symmetrical? Not really. I mean, Atlas is not meant to be symmetrical. He's meant to be kind of have that cobbled together look. Far be it for me to tell people not to buy two of something, but just wait. like, we're going to reuse all these parts. All these parts will be presented symmetrically. You'll be able to do whatever it is you're looking to do. You don't have to get to Atlas and have them with like 2 left feet on one version and 2 right feet on another, just to achieve some sense of, symmetry on them. But that being said, this is one thing I love about this figure in particular, is it doesn't reimagine the Atlas design. It just looks at the parts that were there and improves them. Like, I look at the belt here with that symbol in the middle and all those straps. That is thematically exactly what the first one came with, but updated with today's sculptural details that Eric is able to do. He sculpted that first Atlas in clay. There were certain limitations. It was sculpted, a while before the Kickstarter even happened. So we're talking probably 13 years ago, sculpted in clay, versus something that he's sculpting today with the success of the line, with the financial freedom that we can do to spend money on new tooling, and with digital sculpting. Now, one of the cool things about this figure is Atlas, before he's had a very interesting past, and that past will be pretty much fully revealed in the book that we are working on. Everyone's always asking for updates. Book is totally written. We're just adding all the artwork now. But the Rise of the Dark 4 Volume 1 really does tell Atlas's story. And he's had a very interesting past. He was once the rightful, son in line to take over the Kingdom of Leandor. At one point, he ended up in the Mercurian Colosseum as a gladiator, and he helped contribute to the fall of the Mercurian Colosseum. He made his way to the snowy wastelands of Bjornar, where he lived as a hermit for a number of years before becoming the warlord that leads the House of the Noble Bear. So one of the things that I love about this figure, and this is on a personal level, just a very cool thing for me, is the figure is made to have a few different looks. So the way that I just showed it to you, that is very much his House of the Noble Bear look. But the other thing that you can do is take off his head. If you take off his hand, this lower piece here, it slides right off. So this is not like a lot of the Legion's lower arms where there is a bear arm underneath it. So you can remove that, right? And you can do whatever you want with this, but he's also got this necklace. So you'd want to remove that necklace. This necklace, I'll tell you what this is. There's a little piece of wood that is on that necklace. So part of Atlas's tragic story is he lived in the wastes of Bjornar as a hermit until one day a woman and her sister appeared on his doorstep seeking shelter. The woman was a druid named Risha, and amazingly, even though he was such a cantankerous hermit who wanted to be left alone, something sparked kindness in him that day, and he invited Risha and her sister in. He gave them shelter, he gave them help, and eventually him and Risha fell in love. And it really changed a lot of Atlas's outlook on what his life was worth, whether it was worth living. Unfortunately, she passed away. She got ill and she passed away. In Bjornar, there is kind of like a oasis almost there that they call Risha's Grove. And there's a tree in Risha's Grove that he buried her body underneath. After her death, he pretty much lived as a hermit again for a number of years until one day he woke to the smell of ash in the air. And he looked out and a gang of orc raiders were burning Risha's tree. They didn't know anything about it. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know that, the body of Atlas's, beloved deceased wife was underneath it. They just were destroying things. That is what caused Atlas to pick up his weapons again in a rage, he ended up fighting and defeating all those orcs. And that little piece of wood that he wears around his neck is a piece of Risha's tree. So that is what that accessory is. But on that note, he also comes with this helmet here. Risha does not become Grisha, nor does Risha become the bear. Some people thought the write-up for the bear says that when Bodvar appears to Atlas, he looks in the bear's eyes and sees the reflection of his wife. And they took it to mean that it was his wife reincarnated. It's not how it was intended. It was more the reflection of, like, he saw her kindness in the bear. He saw that basically he felt that Risha had sent the bear to be with him, but the bear is not meant to be Risha. So yeah, with this figure, you can make him Bjorn the Victorious. So when Atlas was in the Colosseum, that is the name that he went by. He felt that Atlas, the son of Leandor, was dead. Let him die, let him lie. So instead, he was going to take on a new name, and he fought in the Colosseum as Bjorn the Victorious. Give me one moment. I'm going to heat up his hand. Okay. So you can absolutely, and this, I said, for me personally, is exciting because during my writing of the book, I created Bjorn the Victorious. So obviously, Atlas the Conqueror is Eric Treadaway's creation. And I've said before that working on the lore of Mythos, working on the book, Eric, he created this whole world. And it's almost like he had a map and he plotted all the major plot points and all the major destinations. And what I've been able to do is connect those dots, explain how characters got from one point to another, and tell the story of how they got from one to another and explain why they did so in the first place. What are their motivations? And of course, along the way, there's gaps that you have to fill. You have to write story. So it was super cool to take a character as important as Atlas, add to his story, and create this character of Bjorn the Victorious. So Bjorn is the character. This is the look of how he would have appeared in the Mercurian Colosseum. Amazing figure. And clearly getting too minimally of this figure. So you can have both the Atlas, the Noble Bear display, and you can have the Bjorn the Victorious display. Goes without saying how important that's going to be. Next, let's look at the big one. Let's look at Bodvar. So this, the biggest figure that we had done at that point, the trolls are bigger. This thing, pound for pound, this is heavier than Slog if you have Slog from Cosmic. Absolutely monstrous figure. Now, he does come with the extra bear head. So you can stand him up if you want. You can take this bear head off and make it roaring on this one. Or you can stand him on stand him on his hind legs, take off the saddle and stuff, and use this neck piece to have him like that. He's also got an extra set of hands if you wanted it to be more like when he's standing up and he's got his hands, they're not down. So he's got those as well. And just the paints on these things are just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Oh my goodness. We got so much, I'm so happy to get this in people's hands just because this is going to be the figure. This is a figure that so many people that had never bought a Legions figure before bought this particular figure because it was just such a milestone. Now we have said, by the way, oh, that's cool too. So his saddle's got all these hooves, not hooves, hoops and everything. So like you can totally just, put weapons on there. Absolutely kit them out. So Atlas on top of Bodvar, that's going to look great. I'm going to do that. But what I was saying was we have said that the all-ins obviously arrived. The all-ins are all shipped. My understanding is the remaining containers that have the deluxes should be within the next few days. So hopefully by the start of next week-ish, the shipping team is going to be shipping out more. I mean, they've been shipping out orders all along, but they'll continue doing that. And as of right now, no single orders with Bodvar, Regarion, or Umbra have gone out because those are the deluxes. Those are going to start going out because those are now what's arriving. I don't have the Joe Polar Bear, Ryan, so unfortunately I can't show you that. What I can do, though, is I can get at least a classified figure and show it to you next to a classified figure. So I got Firefly because he's my faves. So this is Bodvar next to Firefly. So I don't have the Joe Polar Bear. I've seen it. It's big. This thing dwarfs it, absolutely. Like this thing, just size-wise, is so much more substantial. I'm not going to put the other head on, but I mean, if you look at how much taller it is, it's insane. Ugh. Okay, so I was in the process of putting Atlas on his bear. Okay. Oh, forgot to put his. I gotta put it. Ah, there we go. His pauldron back on. Okay, there we go. I mean, that fit, it's so big that it's hard to see on camera, but I mean, this is without a doubt. I remember when I opened the Necro Wave, and it was like Gideon 2 is amazing. Bishop is amazing. But when you put the two of them together, they're bigger than the sum of their parts. They look so good as a set. This, I think, absolutely does that as well. This absolutely gives you that complete sense. This is a great set. One of my favorite figures in this wave that I think was fun because it was so unexpected was Umbra. So again, no secret, Scapular is my fave. When we were talking about this wave, we said, okay, are we going to give Scapular a mount? And we wanted to give him a mount. And then it was like, what do we give him? And we talked about a couple different kinds of mounts, all of which would have been cool. But we got to the point that we realistically had to pull back because Eric was already sculpting the bear. And we had so many other things that were being sculpted. So many new, I mean, you look at this wave and you get all new 1.0 barbarian parts, all new dwarf parts, a bunch of new 2.0 pieces, a bunch of pieces to put on an ogre scale. You get a bear. There's so much here. Even a figure like Scapular is covered in newly sculpted parts. So we realized that to do a mount that was a whole new creature that we didn't have in our library was just, it was too ambitious for us at that point. We didn't have time to pull it off. So we started saying like, okay, we didn't want to just do another horse. And that was the thought. We were like, well, for a while, people have asked for unicorns. And the minute that we thought about a unicorn for Scapular, it was like, yeah, obviously. Like Scapular would ride a unicorn. And we made it a dark unicorn. So we made it this black unicorn and everything. And there is still a lot of new parts on this. So the mane here with these, metal kind of pieces, that's brand new. He does come with a bear mane. This is a brand new tail. He does come with a regular tail as well. He also comes with a regular horse head. So if you just want a black horse, Umbra has the parts to just make a black horse. But I love the fact that he's also got all of these really elaborate dressings and everything. The story behind Umbra is like, people didn't think that unicorns were real. They were like a legend. And then suddenly Scapular rolls in on this thing. And, he talks about having paid a kingly sum to acquire this creature from beyond the shores of Mythos. Now, at the time that we said those words, we didn't really know what beyond the shores of Mythos meant. Now we have started to see that, there's this whole other world outside of New Mythos. There's only a couple people in Mythos that know it exists. Scapular seemingly is one of those people, and he, of true Scapular fashion, is exploiting it for his own gain. So that is how he has acquired this creature. And I love the fact that in the bio, it also says that people thought that he was crazy for what he paid until they realized how powerful this creature was. And this creature helped get him out of a number of his kind of like hairiest capers. Such a cool figure. I absolutely love it. But that brings me to the belle of the ball, to Scapular, which Jacob opened Scapular. And even having opened Scapular, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of pieces. It's just tray after tray after tray of parts. In part because this is a deluxe figure. So here we've got, extra hands and belts. We've got his throwing daggers. We've got his, potions. He's got this that goes on his back. So this is something I don't know that we've ever really effectively shown, but it plugs into his back. You have these three little pieces here. So I'm going to plug that in. It's not going in, but I'll do it in a second. But what it's supposed to do is, if you take the spear breaks down and you're able to actually store the pieces of the spear in his backpack along with the shield. So you'll also take, if you want him to be able, one of the things Eric really wanted to do, and I mean, that's such a gorgeous update on the shield. Eric really wanted you to be able to basically put every part of this character's build, every part of this character's accessories on the character, which is insane since this character has so many parts with him. But that was the thought here, is that so you can store everything on his back, and he can actually have the shield and the spear broken down on his back. Absolutely love that. Couple other things. So again, this is my favorite character, But beyond just being my favorite character, it's also meaningful to me because, as I was saying when I was talking earlier about, the honoring Michael and Brad from the lair, when we brought them up, so we revealed Broddr first and didn't say what it was. Like, we didn't say like that it was a tribute or anything like that. And then we brought up both of them for this figure, for Scapular 2, which is Michael's favorite figure. And we announced that Broddr actually meant Brad. And we announced that Scapular has an alter ego whose name is Amir Kaspar. And it was a great moment. If you were there were definitely some there were some not dry eyes in the room. Let's just say it that way. Mine included. Again, for the book, I'm going to have to put this together later. It is actually complex. There's a lot going on here. So I'm going to have to do this off camera. But the character that I created for the book was called Amir Kaspar. So one of the things that you can do here is that little front piece of his helmet pops off. It's actually cool because you can display it down as well if you want a very different look. But the scapular face pops off, and I don't have the images, but Joe Russo shared some images earlier with me where he was using like the scapular face inside of like the new Otho helmets. And apparently it fits really well. So there looks like there's going to be a lot of pop and swap possibilities there too. So I'm trying to get the face out here. It's just pegged in. I'm just having a little bit of a trouble. There we go. So that just pops out. But the other face that it includes is this metal mask. And that's what he wears for his Amir persona. So he's got these elaborate red soft goods. He's got this mask here that gives a totally different look for his alter ego of Amir Kaspar. And that's a character that I created for the book. So to actually have the alternate version of my favorite character be canon, be in the book, and now be an action figure that I'm here playing with as I talk to you is a very, very surreal moment. I've told this story before, but it's always, I don't know that they do share face plates, but Joe said to me that that it fits. So I have a helmet right here. So this is actually like the extra knight helmet that comes inside of Otho. So if I take that and I put this in, yeah, that fits perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. So there you go. You absolutely can do that. Pretty cool. Did not know that those were compatible, but those are the same keys. So those will work. But one of the fun things that I was mentioning is Scapular comes with this. People may think, what is that? It's actually meant to be a blowgun. And again, I've told this story before, but when I was writing the story, I wasn't even thinking. And I gave Scapular a blowgun in the scene. And Eric thought it was funny. And he mentioned, I thought it was funny that you gave him a blowgun. And I was like, why? And he's like, because he's a skeleton. He's got no lungs. And like, it was one of those moments that it was almost embarrassing. Like in the course of writing, I was like, oh, I got to give him a cool weapon. I'm going to give him a blowgun. And I did not even step back and say, he's a skeleton. He's got no lungs. He couldn't use a blowgun. So I said, oh, I need to change that. And Eric's like, no, I think it's awesome. I think it's funny. Like, why can he use a blowgun? I don't know, but he can. And I was just like, okay, I'm totally on board. So it added to just kind of the ludicrousness of Scapular, the Crypt Breaker. I'm going to have to spend more time with this figure, but this thing is an absolute joy. Two figures, two versions of him, so you can do the Amare and Scapular. But I've been seeing like Dennis Derby's repaints with this figure using some of this new armor. And I mean, this figure's got like, new knees here, new gauntlets, new pauldrons, a new torso, new waist piece here, new neck armor. There's these new plastic pieces that go around the neck. This thing is loaded with parts. This is a deluxe figure, loaded with parts. So much cool stuff on this figure. I'm going to say you're going to want extras. Now, this is, again, one that was ordered in pretty big numbers, but because of his popularity and when people start seeing all the pops and swaps and everything, I guarantee this is going to be a figure that's not going to be around for long. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so getting him on Umbra. Wow. I definitely need to spend a lot more time with this wave tomorrow. I really need to take it in. But those are like my first impressions. A couple of these figures, Bodvar, Regarion, Umbra, and Scapular. I mean, I held them for the first time. I held the prototypes, but I held these particular figures, my figures, for the first time on camera with you tonight. So these literally are my first impressions. All the others I played with for minutes, just enough time to basically open them, put their accessories in their hand, and put them on the table so I could talk you through them tonight. This wave, I mean, wow. This absolutely, I said it a few minutes ago, this feels like another step up. I think people are going to really love this. All-ins are shipping now. They all went out today. If you ordered an all-in direct from Store Horseman, that should be on the way to you, or it's on the way to you now. It should be in your hands, hopefully within the next few days. Shipping on the rest of the wave continues. Retailer street date will be next month, middle of next month. Let me know what you think. I love this stuff. I think these things look great. I am super being involved. We're now at the point where I've been with the company long enough. I mean, I've worked at the company I've worked at the company now for 7 years. But I'm going on my 4th anniversary. So it's my 4th anniversary next month, right? So we're now at the point where the waves that are coming out are ones that I was heavily involved with. Like, I was there full time at this point. I helped plan not only the presentation of them, but in some cases I helped with some of the figures, a couple of the character designs that were descriptions that I had in the book that Eric read those descriptions to use as the basis of something he sculpted. So it's really cool to be here looking at these now. And I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear what you think of all this stuff. Zolocon G, that was my first week at Four Horsemen Studios. My first full-time week was the 1st of March, 4 years ago. So literally that first week that I started, I went right to Zolocon, and that was kind of, trial by fire, being there. It's been an amazing, amazing journey. And thank you for all being here, a part of that journey. The last two things, I did not open the weapons packs, the Barbarians weapon pack, the Dwarf weapons pack. These are repaints of weapons we have throughout the wave, but because this wave is just packed with brand new weapons, these definitely offer some cool new options as well. So if you are looking to outfit some of your characters or just mix and match some parts, you got a bunch of stuff there as well. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight. I honestly don't know if I'm doing a show next Wednesday. I will be in studio next Wednesday. So next Wednesday is when the Kickstarter goes live. Wednesday at 11 a.m. So I will be at the studio. I'm going to kind of play it by ear whether or not we're going to do an actual show. At the very least, maybe I'll come on and just kind of give an update about where we are. We'll kind of talk about it. So I think we're going to do something, but bear with me. I don't want to overpromise. But I will certainly be here for a live stream on Monday. And I say here, it actually won't be on my Mythic Customs channel. It'll be on the Four Horsemen channel. That will be Monday starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you've loved what you're seeing so far for the role-playing game, don't sleep on it. Absolutely join us on Monday. You're going to want to see all the surprises. We've got a lot cooked up. But before then, one last reminder, pre-order for Archon the Cruel, pre-order for Oksana the Inquisitor ends this Sunday. That is February 22nd at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Please mind the time zone. Be sure to get your pre-order in before these go away. Thank you all very much for joining. Be cool to each other. Be cool to those around you. Enjoy Mythic Legions Rising Suns. I hope to see all of you on Monday for the reveal of the Kickstarter. I hope to see many of you at ZoloCon next weekend. Good night, all.